Step back, Jay. Hard. Bullseye.
Sixers looking very focused in the second half. Maxey looking for more. He's got it!
Daniel House, little up and under on the lob, and then flies in with the emphatic one-hand jam.
Niang looking for more from outside. Bang, bang, George Niang!
Joel, the process heavy.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Pick Swap Podcast. It is a Tuesday evening, and the Sixers are up 2-0 against the Brooklyn Nets in the opening round of the playoffs. It's me and Sean Barnard as usual. Sean, how you doing today, man?
Yeah, man. Birds are chirping. Joel Embiid's trolling. Sixers are cruising. Life is good.
Yeah, can't complain right now. Everything's been going well. We'll cover some of the stuff that's going on in this series over the last two games. Kind of some in-between stuff as well. I'm sure we'll touch on plenty of things that we've all thought about over the last, half a week or so, with these two games. Obviously, game one being not necessarily a blowout, but a win with a good margin of victory there. And then after a pretty brutal start to last night's game, the Sixers turn it on here, in the second half, third quarter into the fourth quarter and take over and end up winning by 12. So, two double-digit victories here against the Nets in this first round. Just general, before we dive into anything specific, just kind of give me what you're seeing from the Sixers right now in this series.
Yeah, I guess number one is just this Nets team is not good enough. There's a very clear kind of talent gap between these Sixers and Nets. For as much as they're trying to muck it up and throw some different stuff at Joel Embiid specifically and make it hard for the Sixers team, there's just not enough top end talent on this Nets team. And I do give them credit for competing. They're definitely trying. They're doing things, throwing stuff at it, making Joel become a passer. He really hasn't been able to get into himself as a scorer at all. He shot 11 times in game two, which is well below what he shoots. He shoots well over 20s per game on a nightly basis. And they're not allowing him to beat them. But this Sixers team beyond that is too good. They have talent beyond. They're the number one three-point shooting team in the NBA, and they're getting just practice reps right now. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. It's very clear that Embiid is the circle target, that they're not letting him beat that, but they have enough around him, and that's kind of how things are going right now.
Yeah, it's been kind of two sides of the coin there, especially game one, like beautiful basketball, ball movement, things popping, everyone touching it. And again, it gets into that in game two as well. But I like what they've been able to do so far. I'm going to rave about Tobias Harris today, and
Okay.
I don't know the last time that we said that. So we'll definitely get into that. Maxey had a huge night last night, and I think it's a good thing. Like, obviously, you want to see those huge Joel bombs, but this team learning how to play in big games where Embiid is being, basically forced to pass the ball, forced to give up the ball, and giving guys a chance to get moving, get going, find a rhythm this early in the playoffs, especially once scoring and things and defenses start ramping up and offenses get slowed down. It's nice to know that you do have a little bit of extra firepower in the vault when that does come around. So they're going to head to Brooklyn here. They got 2 days off on Thursday. So got a chance to kind of rest, re-up, go into Thursday's game. To go back specifically, do you want to go get like guy by guy here, just what you've seen? So obviously let's start with Joel, just because it's Joel. Scoring hasn't been there, but everything else has been incredible. So just kind of tell me what you're seeing with him and what you like and what you don't.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are going to be disappointed that this isn't the Joel Embiid performances that we've seen all year of him putting this team on his back, dropping 50 points, going and doing his thing. I personally am very encouraged by what I've seen from Joel. I think if we look back at the version of Joel Embiid in years past, he probably would have struggled through some of these matchups. I mean, the Nets are making it a point to throw 2 and 3 guys the second he touches it, sometimes before he even gets the ball, and he's not letting that bother him. I mean, looking at his stat line for last night, 20 points, 19 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks. He definitely had at least 4 blocks, by the way. I've seen a video of one that was for sure a block that didn't get credited. There might be more than that. He joked in the post game that he needs the Memphis Grizzlies scorekeepers to help out there, which I love seeing that little spark too. But
it's the playoffs. Every possession matter, and so like I said, I had 3 blocks. Only 3 blocks. I'll probably need a Memphis scorekeeper in Philly. What was it, Denver, Memphis, whatever. I thought I had more, but that's a level that I gotta get to, and I'm gonna do it every game.
Yeah, it's been a mature Joel Embiid that we've seen this postseason. That he's making the right reads. He's not forcing things. He's comfortable just making the right pass, keeping the ball spinning around the perimeter, letting the picture change, and other guys capitalize. And they have. There's been guys that have answered the call. So that's been the biggest thing for me. And a real reason of encouragement is that he's not getting tunnel vision and forcing shots and making the wrong calls. He's making the right basketball play, and he's been an absolute force defensively. So I've been very happy with what I've seen from Joel.
Yeah, fully with you there, Sean. I've loved everything I've seen from him. Not only just, obviously he's still finding a way to get 20, 25 and he 20 last night, 25 in game one. He's going to figure it out. And once it starts going, it's fun. He had the jab step hezzy into the dunk last night. And that was kind of like, to me, felt like the nail in the coffin. It was like, okay, they finally let this guy get going. But things we've seen him struggle with in the past, immediate pressure once he gets the ball. The Raptors, even last year, like look at the difference between the way he's handled it this year and in round one versus last year in round one. This is kind of the Raptors playbook here. And he trolled about that as well, making fun of Jacques Vaughn and begging to the refs and saying it's the Nick Nurse style of play, trying to grow off to the refs. So
I mean, I saw, after the game last time, they kind of took the Nick Nurse swap of begging for free throws and calling out the referees, and they did come out and they got a lot of calls, which I guess is good for them.
I've been super encouraged by that fact. And then, we talk about rebounding all year. Obviously, game one is a different story. Pretty low rebound numbers there. But in game two, dude, he turns it on. 19 rebounds. He was fantastic on the defensive end. And like the blocks, the numbers are the numbers. In my eyes, he had 10 blocks last night. He defers so many shots. And obviously, he gets dunked on. He joked about that as well. I don't remember it. But like, that's going to happen to guys that protect the rim. And he blocked a Mikal Bridges dunk. He blocked a Cam Johnson shot. There was two plays in the fourth quarter that I specifically remember, different possessions where both of those two got to the lane and turned around or turned the corner and ran away from the paint because they don't want any of it. And they're playing that zone that allows him to kind of just float around the paint and protect everything. So when you talk about a guy that's valuable to his team, when you take away the best part of his game, which is scoring, and he's still the best player on the floor, that tells you about how important he is and how incredible he is as a player. So I've loved it so far. And like I said, everyone else is getting going too. So, happy to see that as well.
Yeah, and it's cool. He's still being like the centerpiece of everything, even while not being able to make that strong scoring impact. And I'm curious if the Nets change up their game plan at all. I don't think it matters, to be honest. Like I said, they're just not good enough. I want the Sixers to get this done in 4. I don't want this to be something that lingers. Let's sweep these guys, get some rest, move on to Boston. No messing around, no hanging out there while it's a blowout game where you can take an elbow to the eye. Let's go keep on the path, keep on the straight and narrow. So I hope that stays the case. But yeah, I've been very encouraged by Joel's play for sure.
Yeah, I need them to get this done. They have, like you said, Brooklyn is just not a real playoff team. They're in that spot because of the season that they had. And it kind of ended up being this situation. And it's no fault to theirs. And they have some good pieces. And they definitely, I don't think that their outlook, Bridges is very good. Cam Johnson had a super, good night last night. It'll be interesting to see where they go this offseason. But if I'm a Nets fan, why do we have to be annoying, man? Like, why do we have to get annoying on Twitter? Like, I'm seeing all these people just stop. Like, you guys aren't good. You're getting your ass kicked. Stop being annoying. Just take it. Just say, they're better than us. Joel Embiid is really good. We'll be back next year. Like, it's that simple. I don't know why we have to be annoying about this. I feel like Sixers fans are being pretty cordial.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good old-fashioned spanking right now. Like, there's neither of these games, as much as like the Nets held a lead through the first half and kept it, there wasn't a second where the game felt like it was in doubt. The Sixers have held control for all 48 minutes of both games so far, and even while they've been playing poorly. So that's really all it took was one half of flipping the switch a little bit. They outscored them. Let me look at it. I believe it was 52-33 in the second half of yesterday's game. So just nuts stuff there. And I mean, I'm very encouraged by what I've seen. I'm happy for the take care of business. And for me, like, as much as this isn't a challenge, they should win this. it's important to just handle the teams you're supposed to handle. And that's been one of the themes throughout the season that we're seeing from them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that they did mention on the broadcast. I've been watching the local broadcast. I don't know. I know you were there yesterday, but I stay with the local broadcast until they go away. I don't need to hear the ESPN or TNT stuff going on. But they did mention on the broadcast, like, PJ Tucker mentioned, like, there's more resiliency.
Yeah.
He apparently had to bark at some guys and a lot. Dude, I love PJ Tucker. I don't want to get to him yet because I feel like we had, that's jumping some bridges, but I love that guy. But this team is just, it seems like they're in a different mindset, right? And I know that the video of Doc yesterday, did you see that of the huddle? Come on, guys. I was dying at that today. Just an absolute inspiration, Doc Rivers, isn't he?
I will stick up for Doc a little on this one in that, like, it's pretty limited what they can show on TV, both from a, like, cursing standpoint that they can't show that, and from some of the players' remarks, it sounded like Doc really gave them the business and cursed them out there. And they also can't say anything from a strategy standpoint. So that was a pretty small soundbite. Definitely wasn't something that got me fired up on my toes, but I think there could have been some other stuff in there that did. And the results did show they did go on a spark and go on a run from that point. So it was not the best optics for sure, but I don't think that was telling the whole story.
Yeah, no, he definitely got, that wasn't all super indicative of what is actually said. And like Joel and Tobias both mentioned that exact moment. Like Tobias, they asked him what the turning point was, and he specifically mentioned that exact moment, the timeout, what he said in the huddle, and then the entire game changed from that point on. It was a minute into the third quarter. They just had the worst. Dude, they had like their worst half that I've seen them have in a very, very long time. They were 3 of 14 from 3 in the first half. They looked terrible. Nothing was falling. And they were down by 5 at half. I was like, dude, we're fine.
Yeah.
So kind of reiterating your feeling there, like they've been better than them by a large margin through 2 games. I don't even think they've played their best basketball. So if that's impending, I do not see a world where Brooklyn even takes 1 game as long as the Sixers take care of business, which I think even on a night where they don't shoot well, they absolutely still can. So kind of going into specifically yesterday's game, or, I guess we could talk about Harden as a whole, but I want to get to him. Game 1 is very, the duality of James Harden here. Game 1, fantastic game, 7 threes, 13 assists, kind of just all like controlling the game, and him in that second unit with the athletes did a lot of damage in game 1. Flip to game 2, jump shot's not falling, hasn't been to the line yet at all. Really was just kind of non-existent at a lot of points in the game. And they deferred to Joel's playmaking, which was effective in game 2. But just kind of tell me what you've seen from him, what you liked in game 1 versus what you didn't like in game 2.
Yeah, it has been a tale of 2 games for James Harden. To run through the stat lines, you kind of mentioned some of this, but game 1, 23 points, 13 assists, 4 rebounds, 7 of 13 on 3-point attempts. Game 2, not as hot. He ended with 8 points, 7 assists, 4 steals, and 5 rebounds. Shot just 2 of 8 from 3 and 3 of 13 from the field. The free throws I do think is a big deal. That's so much a part of his game. And we know who James Harden is at this point. Like, he's a foul grifter, and he has been for a while. I was looking at the numbers for how often the lack of times that he has been to the line this year. And throughout his career, he's been held without a free throw attempt through both of these first 2 games. This has not happened since his first 2 postseason games with the Thunder in 2010. In 154 playoff games, he's only been held to 0 free throw attempts 12 times. And throughout his career, which is 1,000 regular season games, he's had 0 free throw attempts just 28 times, with 22 of those happening with Oklahoma City. So since his early days, it's been 6 games that he hasn't attempted a single free throw. So it's just pretty crazy that it isn't happening. I do think he got whacked a couple times yesterday specifically. I thought there were a couple that were missed that he should have gone to the line for. I don't love how dependent he is on that. It does feel like it's a factor in his game. Like, I get it. It's a rhythm thing. Like, seeing the ball go through the net, get those easy shots, it makes everything easier. But you got to be able to overcome that. And so much of James Harden, we're going to live or die with whether those step back threes fall. Last night was not a time where that fell. He's also, I think, struggling a little bit with how switchable and versatile these Nets defenders are. Not incredibly encouraging. His inside the arc finishing has not been impressive. He's got stuffed at the rim a couple times. He doesn't seem to have much lift, which are all things I've been looking for. So I will say Harden's probably been my biggest point of concern so far. But, I mean, as long as they're finding ways to get it done, I'll take it. And that second unit, which he is pulling the strings on, is still a positive for me. So I'll give him credit there.
Yeah, I've been after game one, dude, I wouldn't shut up about him. I think, I mean, that's the James Harden you want. That's the James Harden you're going to need in these games. And I think more often than not, that's, the James Harden that you're going to get. 20 and 10. It's what he's been all season. I obviously don't like to see the outing that he had yesterday. And I know you mentioned there were at least, like, in my head, I can recall at least 2 or 3 times where it was like, that's definitely a foul. And he doesn't get those. And I think that, like, unfortunately for us and fans and the rest of the team, like, I think sometimes it can move the needle of where he's going to be in that game, where it's going to be 10 points or it's going to be 15, 16, 18, 20. I think those moments where he's going towards the rim and the only option he really has is to get that foul. It's an art form that he's been able to really master over the last decade or so. And obviously when it doesn't work for him, it takes away from his game, but like that's to be expected. So frustrating game 2 for him. I just wanted to see, like, it seemed like he just kind of didn't have the handle. I don't know what was wrong with it, but it just seemed like things were not clicking at the highest form in game 2. But after such a great game 1, who knows what it was? But like you said, you said he had 4 steals. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll pull it up again. Yeah, 4 steals yesterday. So he does have good hands on the defensive end. Like, as much as his defensive, like, downfalls are not from lack of ability, it's from lack of effort. I haven't really seen that. I do think he's competed on the defensive end. And a couple of those steals, like, were frustration led to those. Like, there was one play specifically that sticks out in my brain where he, like, definitely looked like he got fouled and felt like he got fouled, and he runs back and just, like, tracked a guy down and poked it out. So, like, I like that if that's how the frustration is showing up. But yeah, I do like that he's engaged defensively a little bit.
Yeah, I defensively, I think he's looked pretty good. Like, there's been times where he's switched and not. I mean, it is what it is. You have pretty low bar set for him on the defensive end, but I think there's been times that I think when it is time to, like, really, really go, I think he's done a pretty good job of kind of getting to it. And I guess we kind of just go down the line here. I don't know if you have much more to say about Harden, but I think it's time for me to. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, that's, like I said, it's probably my biggest point of concern right now is what we're getting. But, like, as long as they can find ways to win, and this will probably segue us into our next topic, is they just have to find enough production combined between him and Maxey. Like, it's on one of them to step up and figure it out. And Maxey answered that call last night for sure. And Maxey, like, as much as I feel like he kind of gets it easy to both ways sometimes, that we crown him as, like, the next big thing. He's awesome. He's the guy. And then still give him the credit of, like, he's not ready yet. Like, this isn't his team, which to some extent is true. Like, obviously James Harden and Joel Embiid are the focal points, but they need Tyrese Maxey to be a guy on this team. And last night he absolutely was, with 33 points and leading the way. So I guess I'll spin it back to you first. What did you think of Maxey, and how hyped are you after that?
Yeah, dude, you took me away from my Tobias rant. But we'll get to. No, I'm just kidding. But dude, Maxey when he's playing like that, he was what, 6 of 10 from 3. If I'm not mistaken, something close to that.
He shot 6 for 13.
6 for 13. Okay, a little bit lower number there than percentage wise than I anticipated. But dude, when it's time to go for him, it's really nice. Like you said, it kind of does come down to scoring. At least if you're getting up in those higher numbers, 20, 30 points. Is going to kind of be split between Harden and Maxey. And the fact that Harden can realize the situation and kind of not necessarily defer, but make sure Maxey's getting put in situations where there were more times yesterday than in game 1 where Maxey gets out on a break, or at least is, kind of pushing pace in transition, and Harden hits him with a lead pass. And he's so lethal in that mid transition and getting to the rim. And the day that he starts getting legit foul calls and better treatment is when he will really unlock himself there, because he gets whacked a lot on the way and he doesn't get a lot of respect. And it's been building for the last couple of years, but I'm always impressed with the way that he kind of just finds a way to score. He's a great guy to have in terms of late shot clock as well. The ball swung to him a couple of times. It's a weird word to kind of conjugate, but the ball swings to him late in a shot clock, and he's going to find a way, whether it's the floater, whether it's a side set jumper. He had a couple mid-range jumpers yesterday to pull out of the bag as well. So you keep improving on what's already been a fantastic early career for him. And the playoffs is honestly where he's shown up bigger than ever before. So getting that going for him yesterday was fantastic. And it's something I feel should be a point of not concern, but a point of contention going forward is like Maxey needs to get up into 15, 20, 25 points per game in this, next series if this is going to be a true contender. And he's a guy that can be an X factor for them.
Yeah, for sure. And another point I want to bring up about Maxey is defensively, he's gotten miles better,
Yeah.
dude. Like this was a guy who was a circled candidate on opposing scouting reports when he first came in the NBA, and a guy that was like very an issue for the Sixers. And that's what held him back from being on the court more. He's not that guy anymore. He is no pushover on the defensive end. He's guarding Spencer Dinwiddie and doing a very good job. And Dinwiddie has noticeable size advantage on him and a solid player. I mean, he's nothing special.
I don't like him.
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma would will let you know all about it for sure. But yeah, either way, Maxey's doing his thing on the defensive end, and he's super engaged on that. I see him fighting around screens. He's giving guys, touching guys, getting in their business, which I love to see that. And offensively, like he kind of has to be a scorer. That is his role. When I kind of look at trying to figure out like where else can he impact the game, he's not quite good enough as a playmaker. He's not big enough to dominate on the boards, although he has been active getting rebounds, and he'll jump up for him too. So he does have to score. He is incredible. Just what a real deal shooter he is. It blows my mind the progression we've seen, and I love the floater. I'm a sucker for a nice floater, and I hate how many guys don't use it. So I love it every time it drops for him. So I agree. The late shot clock point's a fantastic thing, and Tyrese Maxey's been terrific.
Yeah, I mean, you can't complain too much about him. I know with him, like you said, it is kind of like it's like a puppy. Like when he starts biting you, like if he's not playing too well, it's kind of like, oh, he's just a puppy,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's definitely not. I don't want to say he's blossoming. Like he's there. He is a legit scorer in this league, and like you mentioned, he as a defender, he's improved significantly. The only person that I think, like the nice part about the Sixers team, something that I know will carry them. Like you just look at the second half last night. Defensively, they are a problem, and they can throw a lot of different things at you. The only guy that literally can guard that plays is George Niang. And like, that's the only guy that like out of their 8 or 9, 10-man rotation that legitimately cannot guard a perimeter player. It's George Niang. So they have 8, 9 guys deep that can switch, can play on the perimeter. Obviously Harden is towards the bottom of that list, but I the way that they've played defense, the way Tyrese Maxey has turned himself almost a complete 180 as, like you mentioned, a liability in prior years to a guy that when he's in the stance, getting ready to go, squeezing the fist, getting the energy up, and getting up in Spencer Dinwiddie's face 30 feet from the basket, like that's the kind of stuff I love to see. And you wonder how much of a PJ Tucker impact that kind of thing might be, because I feel like he's definitely being pushed by those veteran guys.
Yeah, for sure. And Coach Cal was in the building too, so that was cool to see him taking it in. Gave whoever the kid was with Coach Cal, I don't know if it was a relative or somebody brought along, but Maxey went over with the game ball right after, gave that. Nice. So all good stuff, some good vibes thing. Maxey's always a top tier vibes guy. So I will let you get your Tobias Harris rant off your chest now.
Thank you. It's not really a rant. I just want to show some love to our boy. Playoff Tobias has arrived. All the doubters all year, everything that we've gone through with this guy. What an absolute gem he has been in these first 2 games. It's everything that you want from a guy in this position. It's a guy that's dropped ego, that's let loose of the expectation of what he is due to a number or prior seasons. He's locking in on the defensive end. He is running on the break, and he is making it a point to get the goddamn ball on the break. He's aggressive on the boards on both sides. And he's finding his own offense in a situation where Joel's being double or triple teamed. Harden's not shooting the ball very well. Where are we going to go? Tobias is taking advantage of that. And he's attacking mismatches, which you've seen a lot in this Brooklyn series so far. And it's something, obviously, you want to see him keep up this pace. He had, 21 in game 1, 20 in game 2 on really good efficiency. But he's filling the gaps. He's being a connector on both sides of the ball. And from a guy that has been, like, essentially non-existent for the the better part of this season, to see him turn on a switch, show energy. I haven't seen him, like, dude, he's yelling at people. He's dunking on people. He's jumping up and down. He's got swag up and down. He's, like, that's the kind of stuff we haven't seen from him in a while. And it just, like, it genuinely makes me happy to see him back in that mode. And it's something that turns a corner for the Sixers as well. We talked about Maxey being an X factor. The expectation is for Maxey to be a contributor to this offense and to this team. If you're pushing Tobias Harris back up to 18, 19, 20 points, what are you going to do, man? There's nothing you can do. and on top of that, being a really good defensive player and a good rebounder, like we're getting into that point. He's finally turning that corner. And I want to let him know that
It's noticed.
we notice that.
Mm.
And it's appreciated, especially the energy. You just notice right away offensive rebounding, like him and PJ have been fantastic. So just want to shout out Toby.
Yeah, absolutely. That's totally fair. And if he becomes a 20 and 10 guy through this playoff stretch, there's going to be a lot of people writing apologies
Me.
to Tobias Harris. Yeah. To run through his numbers, I mean, game 1, 21 points, only 4 rebounds, 4 assists, a block. He shot 9 of 14 from the field, 3 for 3 from 3. Game 2 yesterday, which I thought he shined even more. He ended with 20 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists to steal, 8 for 14 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, 5 offensive rebounds in game 2, which is just nuts. And that energy, it was seen. Like, it was a gritty Tobias Harris game. I was there at the game with RB Philly Take. Shout out RB. And we were just talking about that too. Like, he's got a grittiness that he's kind of playing with right now that we haven't always seen. Sometimes Tobias is a little too smooth, and that hasn't been him. He's been in people's faces, yelling, dunking. Like you said, it is nice to see. And he was very good last postseason, to give Tobias credit. That does kind of get overshadowed a lot and all the other shortcomings and failures and everything else that happened. Tobias was good. He did his job. That looks like what he's doing again. Defensively, he's improved. He's taken things personally. The rebounding's the biggest thing for me. If he can continue being a force on the boards, helping out there, that's a big deal. So shout out Toby. He is doing his job. And I'm happy to see it, because I was skeptical.
Yeah, dude. Well, I think the way that, like, if I can put it plainly, is like during the regular season, during this time, during these stretches where he's been bad, he's been like waiting for offense to come to him, and then when it doesn't, he forces the action to try to like force scoring. And there's a difference between forcing the ball into the basket and trying to, be a certain type of player, and compare that to what he's doing right now, which I think is filling the gaps and being a guy that's taking what's given to him and forcing more opportunities for himself. Like offensive like there's 8 points alone, right? Like probably like 5 offensive rebounds. Yep. He's getting them in opportune positions to then go right back up and score. There's points right there to be had that he wasn't going and doing during the regular season. Running the floor, getting out ahead of everyone, which starts by playing really good defense. With like that kind of stuff, you see it here and there, but on a nightly basis, if it's consistent and that's a reliable part of the scoring, it changes the way the Sixers play the game. So I think, like, although it's going to be on the back burner of everyone's mind, like Tobias isn't the guy that's like circled on the scouting report for other teams. If he can become just a consistent issue for the other side, like, it's really valuable to this team, especially because he's lower on the totem pole.
For sure. And if he can get 20 points a night, which he's capable of and has done in years past, I know he doesn't have the same touches or same opportunity now, but if he can find a way to scrounge that up on a nightly basis, that's a huge help to this team, because they need secondary scoring. They need guys that can do it. And I think it kind of works to his advantage at this point that he is lower on the totem pole and lower in the pecking order for how opponents look at him. So he does have some opportunities to capitalize, and he's been doing that so far. And one thing that I also noticed last night that was very funny to me, and I'm probably jumping the totem pole a little bit too, but as far as fan favorites and guys that are like the most, there's a very clear, like, it's Joel, Tyrese Maxey, and then B-Ball Paul. Like, Paul Reed.
Oh, yeah.
The fans go nuts. I mean, we had Paul Reed chants in game 1. Last night, the same thing. Like, the second he checks in the game, it's like the whole crowd goes nuts. So the B-Ball Paul chants, he is officially out the mud, and he played terrific too. That block at the end of the third quarter in a straight up one-on-one situation was terrific. He's bringing the energy. He's another guy that's been effective on the boards. He was the guy that PJ Tucker cursed out in game 1, saying that we need more energy. I love that from all around parties, and Paul responded. So he's been more effective at getting offense too. The pick and roll, he's now a threat to score out of, and he's more polished. He's not throwing up wild shots. He's making passes out of offensive rebounds, which also wasn't a thing. So I'm just so proud of him, man. And he is a Philly folk hero already. I hope he's here forever, and he's doing his thing these playoffs.
Yeah, dude. It really couldn't have happened any better. I feel like this is just the situation that, like, ended up having to happen this way, and it's funny that it did. But like, let's think about that 2021 season, like what we were thinking of what Paul Reed was, and like this kind of, like you said, like folklore, like mythical being that is Paul Reed, and the G League MVP and everything that was like kind of around about it. It's like, it seems like a good player, but then he comes in and it's like just chaotic. But he's found a way to like compress the chaos and be more controlled and be super effective on both ends of the floor. Like, he, as your backup center, like, I know we've gotten into it a couple of times, but like the the when they run the lineup of Melton, McDaniels, and Paul Reed, like when you're switching everything with those guys on the court, like it is hell for the other team. They never get a break. And Paul is really like just a genuinely very, very good defender.
Oh, yeah.
And he does stupid shit sometimes. Like he had the steal or the rebound, and he just like kind of fell out of bounds and then passed it to whoever and they dunked it, like passed it right to the middle of the paint. Which like it happens. Like obviously, like it sucks. It's like annoying. It was kind of a close game still at the time. So, but like you take those things when you see the type of effort he's giving you on both sides, and he doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective, but he's been capitalizing at a really high like efficiency when the ball does come his way, and the energy, the dunks. Just the quirkiness of him and who he is, and the old tweets being resurfaced, and just everything that's like kind of come from it has been fantastic. So I'm all in on the Paul Reed victory tour.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he's got a lot of puppy dog to him too. Like even that play specifically when it happened, when he just basically like he was falling out of bounds, just threw it in the middle of the court, ended up in a dunk. The whole like reaction from the arena is pretty much like it's okay, Paul. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
Like
we're trying.
Yeah. And he does like on the opposite end of the spectrum. Like there's things where he's diving out of bounds, getting loose balls, things. So there's plenty that he does do, and you absolutely take the bad with the good, because there is plenty more good. And yeah, I mean, I love him. I'm so happy for him, and it's a weird. I tweeted this out, but it's like such like a proud father kind of experience just watching him like actually doing it. It's bizarre. I've never seen like an athlete's like development like this.
And dude, he's solving the problem. Like he's currently solving a like half a decade's worth of a problem that the Sixers fans have gone through. Like, so I feel like that definitely plays into it as well. Like, dude, we've been searching for just like a playable backup center for the last 5 years, like 5-6 years. And you finally have one. And not only that, like he's exciting. He's fun to watch. He is like constantly going. You can't miss him on the floor. So, hard not to love it. And if he can continue playing well, man, like I said, he's a fantastic defender, and they like having a new wrinkle to this team of that backup unit that Harden gets to kind of orchestrate and quarterback that group. And Paul has been a part of, a really positive situation coming out of that bench unit, which has been a fear of everyone's, coming into this postseason. But I want to go back, miss one guy from the starters here. I want to talk about PJ. And what he's been able to bring to the team. No points last night, but the PJ Tucker 1+ made 3 is my favorite thing to bet in my entire life. I love cheering for it to go in. So, between that and the defense, just tell me what you've seen from PJ so far.
Yeah, everyone hangs on their seat for those PJ Tucker corner threes, man. They're such momentum shifters, like either way. It's like when you're getting buried by PJ Tucker, it's over. Pack your bags. But he's been good. Another guy, offensive rebounds, jumping out. If you look at game 1, he had 5 offensive rebounds, 7 rebounds total, 5 offensive rebounds, knocked down 2 3-pointers in that one. He had 8 rebounds last night, 2 of them coming on the offensive end, and one of them a real momentum shifter as well, where he kicked out to the corner. I'm pretty sure it was Tyrese Maxey that I went to, and he hit a 3, and that was part of the spark to the run was that play. So Tucker is just an energy guy. He makes his presence known. He's necessary to this team from a veteran aspect, from the get in your face kind of aspect. And you see it. Like, I think everybody's kind of buying in on the PJ train here, and it's awesome. I mean, he is who he is. He's exactly who he was advertised as. Yep. And the Sixers need him at this point in time. Playoff PJ has arrived.
Yeah, I was going to say that was going to be my biggest thing, like, as advertised. Yeah. He is what he's supposed to be, and all of the bullshit that people went through at the beginning of the season, like freaking out about him, like he's this guy, and he's going to be this guy for the next however long the Sixers are in the playoffs, hopefully for the next, whatever it is, 14 games that they have to win. I should know the exact number, right? But regardless, he is going to be this guy, and little things like yelling at Paul Reed, figuring it out, like just the energy that they bring, like I'm not worried about it. And it's weird to like put so much of that on one guy that's, when you look at a box score, seems inconsequential. He's incredibly important to what this team does. And you even look at a night like last night where he didn't close the game. It was McDaniels. And I love the flexibility from Doc to see that, but he wasn't even in the lineup. So like, at times you're like, what is going on? If you're not paying attention really to what's happening with him and the culture that he's brought, you might miss it. But, to us and to, all the Sixers fans that I know are appreciating it right now, like, this is super important to a team that's a championship caliber team, and might be the difference in what you've seen from years past to what you're seeing right now, which at the start of the pod, we were saying they're taking care of business. That might be a product of PJ and how he goes about his day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we can circle back and touch on a couple of the bench guys if you want to, but you kind of brought it up there. James, are you buying into this team as true championship contenders?
Yeah, of course I am. What do you mean?
Okay.
I mean, it's me, man. I'm gonna buy in. I was
Fair.
talking to my coworkers earlier, and they're like, "Dude, we're just kind of burned out. It's second round thing, and they got to get past that for me to get excited." I'm like, "You're talking to the wrong guy, man. You're talking to the wrong guy." I'm pumped, man. I've been pumped. I was so excited for this playoff season to start. I was so excited to see this team in action, and through the tough parts of games, dude, I get excited. I get juiced up for it. And it's nice to see that these guys are kind of reciprocating it, where I feel like they've walk through the first round a couple years in a row. And I feel like this is a good test for them. I feel like they're really ramping up for it. And hopefully they continue it on Thursday. But I'm bought in, man. What about you?
Yeah, no, I'm buying into. I'm into it. And when you kind of look around the league, we see Giannis picking up an injury, Jaylen Brown battling a little something. And first off, I have no sympathy for the injuries. I'm never rooting for a guy to get injured or anything, but I'm not going to sit here and act like that poor team after I've seen Joel break his face 3 times and tear a ligament in his thumb and all this other nonsense that has gone on in the Sixers world. So those are the hurdles that you kind of are dealt with. Hopefully the Sixers avoid them, stay on the straight and narrow. That circles back to the point of just taking care of business, doing your thing, don't mess around. And then, so I am buying in. They're clicking at the right time. And it's a different Joel Embiid, man. He just seems different this year. There's things in years past that would have bothered him that just don't look to be this year. And I mean, the Sixers have Joel Embiid. No other team around the NBA does, and that's what gives me hope. And even Doc admitted yesterday, this is a better tools around him than he's ever had, and it's the first team fully optimized to bring out the most in him. And I think we're seeing it. So I am buying in. I'm loving what I'm seeing.
Yeah, man. I can't say enough about it right now. Looking in years past, you mentioned it. It's tough to compare these teams. It's different vibes, different things going on all at the same time. But like you said, this conversation I've had with people that aren't excited, I'm like, listen, dude, last year Embiid didn't even DeAndre Jordan started playoff games for the Sixers last year. We're just somehow forgetting the fact that not only did they have 2 games where Joel didn't play at all in a second round series against a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals and was really competitive. Not only that, he was playing the series still went 6.
Yeah.
And he played those 4 games with a broken orbital bone, coming off a concussion, and a torn ligament in his shooting hand thumb. If you can genuinely look me in the face and tell me that's the expectation of Embiid for this year, because bouncing out in the second round, because that's what he did last year, then you're not paying attention. You're not keeping tabs. And that's on you guys. So if you guys don't believe in it, as long as Joel Embiid is a healthy version of himself, they have a chance. And that's what, we've been saying this forever. I feel like, a lot of the Sixers fans are all in the same boat here. And it took a couple games for people to get, back on board, which I don't blame you. I don't blame anyone for feeling this type of way. From a logical perspective, I can empathize with it. But, if you're kind of, if you're a Sixers fan, you've been through enough. It's time to just be happy about it. Be happy about the situation that we're all in right now. And I think, I'm never going to say they don't have a chance. And I think Embiid, he poses a mismatch, a problem for every team in the NBA. So until they figure out how to stop him, we're on board.
Yeah, and I do think this series is a huge step from that perspective of seeing Joel not be bothered by this and being willing to pass out, make whatever happen, doing whatever it takes to win. That's what he's about, what this team's about. And this is a we season has been kind of the phrase the Sixers have muttered all around. And we're seeing it. Everybody looks like they're bought in. The vibes are there. And it does feel like it's starting to click.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to be devastatingly involved here. Once this series ends and we go, not getting ahead of myself here, but hopefully they take care of business here in the next couple of games. And all things are pointing to a Philadelphia-Boston semifinal here, which I love it. I love it. I whether they win or lose, these are the kinds of things as a fan of the sport, as a fan of these, either of those two teams, you should be wanting that. I think it would be a great series. So they go to Brooklyn on Thursday. Do you anticipate them coming home and having to play a game 6?
I don't.
Game 5.
I don't. I think the Nets needed one last night from a self-belief standpoint. I don't expect them to fully roll over because they're a young team. They try hard. They care. I don't hate this Nets team by any means, but they're just not good enough. And I think they cleaned this up in 4. We move on to the next round.
I hope so, man. I don't like Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't like him. I need to get this off my chest right now. Like, it's not even about the Kuzma. Like, I really couldn't care less about the Kuzma thing. So, like, really irrelevant to us. But like, he complains more than everybody else. He thinks he's like DeMar DeRozan in the mid range. And then like the play that sticks out to me from last night, which I think is a microcosm for who Spencer Dinwiddie is as a basketball player. I don't know him personally, so I can't speak on who he is as a person, but as a basketball player, that end of the third quarter, and he's like sizing up Paul Reed, like hitting these like between the leg, like skip and hops and like sizing him up and getting bounced. And then like you get sent and he's like walking back, like he's like, oh, I should have went, like hitting us with one of these down the court. It's like, no, dude, you got pinned. So it just pissed me off. I had to get it off my chest before we go here. Don't like Spencer Dinwiddie. Everyone else is fine. I'm done hearing about Mikal Bridges being he's from Malvern. I don't care. I don't care. Should the Sixers have not traded him? For sure. Yeah. We all know this, but we've known this for a few years now. So let's not pretend like it just happened yesterday. We're all over it. And we're going to kick their ass. We're going to kick the team's ass that he plays for. So who cares?
Yeah.
And those are my final bits. I'm done now.
All right. No, fair enough. Staying away from Dinwiddie Island. That's noted. I would have loved if Kyle Kuzma came out and rang the bell last night. I would have been so
hilarious.
On that. That was my hope. But I guess we'll take Larry Bow. A little bit of a letdown because I was really hoping for that. But whatever. It is what it is. This team isn't really good enough. I expect it to be done in 4. And it is weird. Like, I feel like I have less animosity towards this Nets team than I have for most first round opponents. I guess because we've constantly drawn like the Heat and the Raptors, who both suck to play against for sure. But whatever, it is what it is. Stay on the straight and narrow. Any final thoughts, James?
No, I think I got him off. I had to find somebody to root against with this team. Like, I just don't like them, so I have to like just find a way to not like them more. So that's why Dinwiddie's getting the my pick for now. But other than that, I'm good. I'm hoping that next time we talk, we're talking about round 2.
Yeah, sounds good. So let's hope for that they can clean things up in 4. We're moving on, but appreciate all you guys for listening in. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Got some other stuff cooking up on the channel, a bunch of shorts dropping out for some clips throughout these playoffs and everything else. So make sure to check in for that. Some awesome content coming around. So appreciate all you guys, and we'll talk soon.